Welcome to the Smarter Business Podcast, business advice with a video bent. Our goal with this podcast is to deliver high-quality, actionable tips and advice from business leaders that can help you succeed. Oh yeah, in that video bent, we're going beyond the typical business tips. We're going to explore the use of video with these business leaders too. From marketing to sales to internal communications, how it impacts their businesses. So thanks for tuning in. We are publishing this series on YouTube in video format and wherever you download your podcasts. Please subscribe to get access in the future and to stay in the loop with these business-altering tips and advice. Welcome to the first Smarter Business Podcast. So the idea here is that we're going to give some business tips with a bit of a video bent. Our inaugural guest for this podcast is Joe Neiman, who is with ACV Auctions. What's your title now, Joe?
Today, it is Chief Customer Officer.
Excellent. And I'm going to ask you first, Joe. Just can you tell anybody who doesn't know what ACV Auctions is, who you guys are, what you do?
Okay, absolutely. ACV Auctions is a Buffalo-based startup. So we got going about 5 years ago and have built a pretty decent-sized company here in Buffalo. Our customers are car dealers, and we've created a marketplace where they buy and sell used cars between each other. So we are disruptive to the physical auctions. Most consumers don't have any idea that this industry exists, but there's something like 20 million cars a year that get bought and sold between car dealers at auctions. So we're leveraging technology and a lot of people. So we're over 800 employees now all over the country, about 400 or so in Buffalo. But this is how you want startups to pan out. We're very lucky, very blessed. We've made a lot of mistakes, but have fortunately recovered quickly. So we're doing great. So hopefully that helps.
That's excellent.
Okay.
I think, anybody who didn't know who you are, they now know.
Now they know.
So, well, thank you for being on the first episode of this too. We're hoping to talk to a lot of different business owners who have something to share with our audience here. So, part of what we're doing today is, and part of this podcast is that we're going through a rebrand and repositioning of our own company. And why I thought you might be a good fit for the first one is you have a good story about the ACV Auctions logo. I didn't bring any visual props, okay, but could you kind of talk through kind of how that works?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to it. Another good reason why you want me as the first guest on your podcast is because it can only get better from here.
I was going to say because you're the most famous person that I know.
Stick with my answer. It can only get better from here, folks. So company's called ACV. Boy, I should have worn an ACV shirt. Then I could have.
We'll put a graphic up.
We'll put a graphic up.
Yeah.
So if you'll notice on the graphic that doesn't yet exist while I'm doing this, you can see that down in the lower left little leg of the A, right, is the lowest point in the logo. And kind of the way I like to visualize it, and this is even before the company had any traction, any legs, before we raised any money or anything. I kind of knew that this is what I wanted it to look like. But basically it starts low, kind of goes through the ACV experience and ends high up on the V, right? And the idea is that we are an auction, we are a marketplace, and the way to get the most engagement out of our particular marketplace is the less you ask, the more you get. So it's kind of a cute, soft way of
right.
kind of pitching in best practices. There's a better way. Subconscious. That's the word I was looking for. Subconscious little cue.
And it's become a big part of your business, though, that whole philosophy of like getting dealers to start low and then they finish higher than they expected kind of thing.
Definitely. I mean, it's a strategy that works in most auctions. Auctions, at the end of the day, without going too far down the rabbit hole, require engagement from an audience. And we've found that we're able to really get a lot of engagement on auctions when they start low. Right, it's just kind of a what's the right word here? I don't know. Maybe it's
it's the catalyst to get things started, right? Or it's the starting gun. I guess.
I think I need coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah, we should just like stop this podcast
we can
right
get you
now
some
and
coffee.
so I can find the words that I'm looking for. But yeah, it's fun when you can have the name and the logo kind of play into what you do. That's been our experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of the next spot we were going to go is this will be the spot where we do our own reveal with our logo. I put a printout in front of you, very low tech, but you get a look at it.
I'm not a tech guy. I like paper.
And I guess maybe where I'll start on this, and we've talked about this a little before, but we have been considering a rebrand for years at Nickel City Graphics, and what we're going into now. And for a couple of reasons, we were always looking at it. The Nickel City moniker doesn't give you kind of full control over the brand that you use. And then the graphics part of the name was tied to my last kind of real job, which was as a motion graphics and animation artist. But Joe played a significant role in finally deciding to go forward with our rebrand. I thought I had built some brand equity and so on with the Nickel City Graphics brand, but on a shoot that Joe and I were in Austin, Texas, I asked him to lay down a testimonial for us. So we get all set up, we sit him down in his chair, and Joe's question is, so what do I call you guys? What's the name of the company, kind of thing? So that just kind of let me know, it happens a lot. Like I worked personally with a lot of clients, so a lot of people know me more than the name, but that cemented the fact that we weren't going to lose a lot of brand equity by making the switch. So the new logo and the new name that we came up with is VidWheel. VidWheel speaks a little more to our actual core service of providing video production and strategy around that. And then, much like the ACV logo, there's a little more of a story inside that graphic there. You can see at the top, we kind of start with a couple of points that are, kind of speak to the way that we like to create a couple points of contact for clients, and then A/B test. And you can see they kind of go together at the bottom there. That's when we're making adjustments, kind of refining those strategies and kind of, continuing on through the process. And then the end, the kind of dashed line section is about planning, right? Taking what you learned from that video series or whatever we've put together, a video marketing campaign, and learning from what you did, planning for the next, and then you start it all over again. So hence the wheel.
I like it. Well, wheels, it makes you think of motion, right, and progress. So I dig it.
Yeah,
I think it's a great name. I think if you put like vidwheel.io, you could probably go raise like $10 million right now.
Well, let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it fits with ACV. Totally not on purpose, but there you go.
Hey, how about that?
So Joe gets to see this before we even reveal it to everybody. So he'll have to keep that under his hat.
Oh, yes.
For a couple of weeks here until the reveal party. So I guess the next piece that I was hoping to talk about is just a little bit of some of the different ways. Another part of what we're doing with our rebrand is trying to become a little more holistic in how we deliver video solutions. Mm-hmm. So instead of, we were always very like video marketing focused, but like for ACV Auctions, we've done marketing videos, we've done videos that can be helpful in the sales space, and we've done a lot of internal communications videos. I don't know, do you want to speak on any project that we've done, or is there anything, I guess, that you think worked?
I think they've all worked. I mean, so we've done with your former company, Nickel City Graphics, right? Pre-rebrand, we've done like over 100 testimonial videos or close to it. These have just been an incredible way to capture voice of customer, capture their words. It's one thing to have like a canned kind of piece or just a block of text from a customer, but I think these really get at the emotion and the success we bring. And just honestly, I mean, your interactions with the dealer, which isn't really seen on the video, but the fact that you've been able to get them to open up and really talk about this has been pretty remarkable. So that's helped our sales. It's also made a lot of our customers feel special and valued, which has been cool to see. They get pretty excited about doing these things.
Yeah. They always seem excited when we get there.
Yeah. So that's been neat. And then just, we've done the internal training videos for our sales team. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they've all been great. I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. I think I've been probably a big pain in the butt on a lot of these. But they've gone to plan. They've come out on time and polished. And I think we're just proud of them. It's a good way for us to get in front of our customers or even our own internal teams and give them a consistent message, and just the world we're in. I mean, I'm probably the worst offender, but people have short attention spans. So to be able to put something on video and that seems to resonate. That seems to get the message through more effective than anything else we've done.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good. It's good to hear.
Slide me that $20
right.
bill right now. That was
underneath
good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. And that's what we aim to do. Try to add some efficiency and so on to some of those communications. So another piece that we wanted to kind of tie into this podcast is we have a lot of kind of supporting materials out there. In one piece that, and I know we talked prior to this, and you guys have never really done the announce something big type of video. But that's what we're doing now with this podcast and kind of the launch of this whole thing. So I don't know, it's just another video type. That's another way that you can kind of, from more of a PR lens, get things out there. And that's kind of what you're helping us with right now, whether you meant to or not. So
happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. So we'll just move on past that. So we're going to get kind of the end of the official interview type of thing, which I'd like to know, because we're calling this a Smarter Business Podcast. Sure. And the whole idea is that we're going to bring people on who know what they're talking about and want to share their knowledge with our viewership or listenership. What's one key way that you think you've made your business smarter in the last couple of years?
Okay. I've got one that I'm happy to share.
All right.
We'll keep it'll be a fun, simple one here. So I can't take credit for this. But this is something that I learned a handful of years ago at a dinner, kind of an impromptu thing, and was sitting with an former executive from Coca-Cola bottling of all things. And this is a guy who really built, several billion-dollar empire. Prior to his leadership, Coca-Cola bottling, it was all just like they just worked with bottlers all over the world. And I think the effort that they made was to really unify all of these different companies and bring them together through acquisition and standardize the operations. Big effort, right? And he was having a lot of fun with myself and George, who's the CEO of our company, and kept asking us, what's the secret to hiring? And we're like, oh, geez, how do we? I don't know. We thought we had some good ideas. Like, no, everything we said. He finally said, do you want to know what it is? Yeah, after all this buildup, right? And he said, I've hired, you name it, right? Everybody, thousands of people, and it doesn't matter if they went to Harvard. It doesn't matter if they don't have a degree. He goes, you guys want to know what it is? I said, yes. He said, hire happy people. That's it, huh? And it was interesting because it was right at a time where we had just brought on our SVP of sales, this guy, Mike Waterman, who's like the coolest, happiest dude you'd ever meet. He's a singer in a rock band. I mean, he's just awesome, right? So anyways, it's like, well, at least we got that right. Because if there's one glowing character trait of Mike, it's that he is just the happiest dude going. But the whole point, and what I've seen play out now, we're over 800 employees, is it really doesn't matter how smart these people are. Smart people are great, but if they can't work well with a team, or I should just spin it a different way. They need to be able to work well with a team. They need to be able to be positive, resilient, have a smile on their face, because, you just get more out of that person and they like being around. And the glass is always can be half full or it can be half empty. And I guess from a cultural perspective, as I've watched our company grow, just the miserable people, they can bring down a lot of people with them. So look, interviewing's a tough thing. You got a resume and you spend half an hour or an hour with somebody and you're basically marrying that person for all intents and purposes. That's a hard thing to get done and do right consistently. So I interview a lot of people now, and I guess I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but I just like to have friendly conversations, get to know somebody. And man, if they seem like a happy, optimistic, resilient person, you can train the rest, right? But that person's they're going to get more mileage out of you. You're going to get more mileage out of them. Their interactions with your customers are going to go so much better. Their ability to integrate well with your team and be kind of a positive shining star within your organization. It's all those soft skills that people don't give enough credit for. But yeah, hire happy people, and then call people out when they're not being happy, and go send them on a vacation and say, come back when you're happy, because otherwise you don't need them around. They're doing more damage to your org than you probably even realize when they're not in a good state of mind.
Yeah.
So
you have all happy people then?
Absolutely all happy people. Yes.
All right.
We have mostly happy people, and hopefully they'll listen to this and go, maybe I should be a little happier.
Right. Well, that's the secret.
Not completely naive,
yes.
but a baseline of happiness is a important place to start.
Sure. That's great advice, right? Yeah. You don't want people dragging you down. So, I mean, you kind of hit on a bit of advice to give people too. So we are in a pretty good spot. So I'm going to give you, though, just like we give in all our interviews, and you've seen this done a million times. Do you have anything else to add? We'll just leave it open ended.
Yeah,
Joe.
I can't say no, right? What if I just said nope? Got nothing else.
It's happened.
So Neil and I were chatting over lunch today, and Neil and I have gone on some fun trips together all over the country, interviewing, doing testimonials of ACV's customers. So we get a lot of time on airplanes and at airports and over dinners and things like that.
Diners in Indianapolis.
Right? Oof. Yeah, I think I'd pass on that one again. But we survive. But anyways, we end up talking about books and life and stuff like that. So today, over lunch, I mentioned a book that I recently read and am now rereading. Let's see if I can remember the name of it.
I wrote it down.
It was called...
Hang on one
Wait
second.
a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. The Untethered Soul.
Yep.
Really.
That's right.
Really need that coffee.
Yeah, whoa.
Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul. And I usually read nonfiction business books. This one's a little different, and it's all about consciousness and how you perceive the world around you. It's a short read. It's an easy read. It's not too far out there in the wooey kind of weird space, but really blew my mind about. I guess I think I'm like a lot of people, but I've always got a voice that's talking in my head. So maybe I belong in a insane asylum, but I'm saying too much here. But kind of I'll give away one little thing in the book, and they talk about the fact that everybody's got that. Hopefully that's true. Is that voice in your head, and really the fact that that's not you. Okay, that voice is gonna talk constantly, no matter what. You really can't even stop it, and trying to is actually a futile effort. But as soon as you understand that that voice is actually not your own voice, it's kind of a crazy person that you're locked in your head with, and you have the choice, if you view it as such, you have the conscious choice to, do I want to listen to this? Do I want to give it the attention that it's trying to get, or can I just kind of ignore it and make my own choices? And the fascinating thing is, when you create that space, I remember reading this 4 months ago, and now again, I'm rereading the book, but it just kind of blew my mind. It's like, oh, if that's not me, then who am I? And I get the choice to listen to that voice or choose to ignore that voice and create some distance and space from that voice that's always going and listen and think about it. And do I want to take its advice, or is that crazy advice, which, probably 80% of the time it's crazy advice.
It's usually pretty negative, right?
It's usually pretty negative.
To your,
or it's overwhelmingly positive, and then it just decides to switch, right? And see things from a positive light to a negative light. And as soon as you distance yourself from that and go, okay, that's just my crazy roommate, who's always trying to stir the pot, and go, oh, well, isn't that refreshing? So obviously the book has a lot more to offer than just that, but it's kind of one of these, I think the way I termed it to you was like mind bending. Mm-hmm. Just causes you to see things in a different light. Now, keep in mind, I'm reading this book for a second time, even though it's a quick read, because I got so much out of it the first time, but then I see opportunities where, some days I'm living, and thinking the right way, and other days I'm short-sighted and impulsive. And so hopefully by reading this kind of on a more regular basis and revisiting it, build some habits that should help me.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, but I highly recommend that book. So.
Yeah, great. That's a good recommendation. Hopefully people take it. I'll read it. I'm always looking for something to read.
That's right.
Excellent.
See what you think.
Yeah. Well, report back. Next time on, we'll discuss this book in further detail. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for today. That's we're trying to keep these short and sweet. I don't know what the runtime on this was, but trying to keep it to that 20-minute-ish span, and we'll look forward to our next one. All right.
Great.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So there you have it, the first episode of the Smarter Business Podcast. I hope you found it informative, and like Joe said, hire happy people. He knows what he's talking about. He has been a hiring machine for the past 2 years. Please subscribe, leave comments, share this with your friends, and let us know what you think. I will see you next time.